Welcome back for today's college football pick video play. If you want to pick against the spread in this matchup, as well as all of our college football picks for Week 4's action, you can check those out over at our main website, stumpthespread.com, which is linked down in the video description. In this one, going to be talking about where we see the better value on the over-under with that total number at 57.5 points. Now, Tulane, the home squad, coming in as 5-point favorites. This has actually jumped up a bit. This opened up with Tulane being around a field goal favorites, and the betting public giving Tulane a lot of credit for what they've been able to do to open up the campaign, looking pretty impressive in their 2 victories. Now we take a look at the road squad. The Houston Cougars, they've tested themselves against a really tough schedule, and they've been respectable in their losses against top 25 opponents, Oklahoma and Washington State, and then their one victory coming by 20 points against an FCS opponent, Prairie View A&M, by a final of 37-17. So their Week 1 matchup on the road against Oklahoma, losing that one by a final of 31-49, a higher scoring affair. And this is what we should get from Houston throughout the campaign, and we saw this a lot from Houston last year, where their offense brings back the kind of pieces where they can have a lot of success, put up a lot of points this year, but still defensively we have our concerns with the Cougars with their consistency on that side of the ball. Actually, last week, Houston, it was a pseudo home game for them. It wasn't a true home game, but it was still played in the city of Houston. They welcomed in Washington State, and the Cougars, we took them as 8.5-point dogs in that one, and they were just able to scrape by and get us kind of a lucky and miraculous cover there at the end, scoring a touchdown in what was essentially junk time there in the end, but the Cougars still able to grab us that cover against Washington State by a final of 24-31. That defeat coming by just 7 points when they were getting 8.5. So after that tough battle, now they're heading out on the road and taking on a Tulane team that's better than a lot of people were expecting coming into 29. Now, coming into the year, we actually had higher hopes for this Tulane squad than most, and as a result, we actually took the green wave against the spread back in Week 1. They came in as only very slight favorites against Florida International, and they absolutely dominated that matchup on their home field, taking down FIU by a final of 42-14. And then the green wave after that went on the road against Auburn. Really tough matchup there. They leaned on their defensive strengths to at least keep them relevant, but offensively they just weren't able to get enough going as they fell to Auburn by a final of 6-24. But if you're able to limit that SEC Auburn opponent to just 24 points, you have to feel decent as the green wave, and that's the strength of this Tulane squad, is coming for them on the defensive side of the ball. And then last week, going against an FCS opponent, Tulane absolutely dominating Missouri State, winning it by a final of 58-6. So now they're coming into this one on their home field, and the betting public giving them a lot of credit for what they've been able to do thus far, and as a result, that spread has been pushed to 5 points. Now, Tulane, given their defensive strengths, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what they're able to do against this Houston offensive attack. Now, like I said, Houston, they have the tools to be a very dangerous offensive team, but last week they stubbed their toe a bit, not necessarily getting consistent drives going. They added a touchdown right there at the end in junk time to push their points up to 24, but really if they wouldn't have been able to get the touchdown there right at the end, they would have only been at 17 points, which isn't necessarily the greatest offensive look. And now coming to this one on the road against a positive and very strong defensive unit, I'm just really interested to see what Houston's going to bring to the table. And if Tulane plays their style of football, it's going to grind things down a bit more, relying on the ground game and milking that clock a bit, maybe not getting as many total plays in, which could potentially make this on the lower side. Now, we have a total here of 57.5 points, relatively high for a Tulane game, especially given their defensive strengths. And given that dynamic that we have coming to this one, we actually feel like the under 57.5 points is going to be the better value bet. The fact that Tulane can lean on their defensive strengths here behind their home field, on top of the fact that Houston really, they scored around 17 points last week, but then adding that touchdown at the end to get up to 24. Not necessarily the strongest offensive performance, and now coming against another game defensive opponent. We'll see what they have left in the tank and what they have to bring in this one on the road. But we feel like the ingredients here are playing to potentially be just a little bit to the underside with this one, with that total up to 57.5 points. So that's where we're going to side in this one, guys, going with the under 57.5 as the better value bet. If you agree, give the video a thumbs up. Disagree, give it a thumbs down. And again, you can get a pick for this game as our free play over at stumpthespread.com, as well as all of our picks for Week 4's action in college football. We hope to see you over there at stumpthespread.com with that link down in the video description. We appreciate you stopping on in. Consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and hope to see you guys back here for our next video.